John, good to be with you. And look, I appreciate the work you've done on this for years now, uncovering how just I think we've talked before. I always say the only thing we get wrong when we start these investigations is it's the fact that it's always worse than we thought. And that is the case here. I mean, it wasn't just 8 United States senators that they spied on. It was much broad. It was hundreds of people that they're doing subpoenas where they're getting bank records. They got the bank records. The bank records of Dan Scavino. Dan Scavino in President Trump's first term ran the social media operation. Why do they need his bank records, for goodness sake? And there's countless other examples that are just so ridiculous. Just shows how weaponized Jack Smith and Arctic Frost, which was before Jack Smith and then became the Jack Smith special counsel, how bad it was.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they were looking for crime. It looks like they were looking for people where they hope to find a crime. There's all these weird things, like they're going to look at a gambling debt for one guy. I mean, they just seem to be on a fishing expedition, exactly the sort of thing our founding fathers, when they created the country, wanted to get rid of because they hated the general warrants of the great British era. Have we returned to an era where at least some people think we have general warrants now?
It sure seems like that. You know, they didn't go to a judge and get probable cause and say there's probable cause to think Dan Scavino committed some crime, so we want his bank records. You know, he was the guy who ran President Trump's Twitter account. I mean, what are you talking about? Like that makes where was the probable cause to say we want Mark Meadows, information on Mark Meadows, saying there's one email that says Mark Meadows was engaged, some source is saying to some agent that Mark Meadows was engaged in treasonous activity. Are you kidding me? This is the craziest stuff I've ever seen. And then, John, this is why we want to talk to Jack Smith, why we've sent him a letter. We want him to come in for a deposition. We want to get answers because we've already deposed 2 of his deputies, Mr. Bratt and Mr. Wyndham. And they took the 5th, 71 and 73 times respectively, took the 5th to questions like, was this a political operation that you guys were running, trying to get President Trump, harm him politically? I take the 5th. How about anyone else you surveilled in addition to these 8 U.S. senators? I took the 5th. Well, now we know why they took the 5th, because there's hundreds of other people that they were checking in on. So this is just bad. And never forget, this is the same Jack Smith who put the gag order on President Trump, asked for the gag order and got it. This is the same Jack Smith who raided President Trump's home. This is the same Jack Smith special counsel where one of their deputies said to Stanley Woodward, a lawyer for one of the defendants, we didn't know you were a Trump guy. We thought you were interested in this judge position. And this is the Jack Smith whose deputies wouldn't answer our questions. This is the Jack Smith who is now with 190 subpoenas to get communications and documents and bank records and people. I mean, okay, this is how bad it is. So, yeah, we want to talk to Jack Smith and see what kind of answers he's going to give us to our questions.
Yeah, and if he doesn't come voluntarily, I think I know the answer to this question, given your long track record as a chairman, but does a subpoena follow?
Well, yeah, we want to talk to him. We will use everything we have to get this guy. And we want to get all this information and talk to him in a deposition format, and then we'll decide if we're going to do some public hearing. But we want the same documents that are now starting to come forward. We want to take a chance to look at all this and ask him in a deposition format about this stuff.
Last night, you and I were together on Sean Hannity, and I started to talk about a document. I'd only read it for about 10 minutes before. Today, I read it a lot. I shared it with lots of FBI agents. It's the predicate memo, the electronic communication that opens up this Arctic Frost. And it is shocking to me because when you get to a full investigation like this, there's a requirement for evidence of criminality. And you see things like suggest are the words they use, or the evidence is just a CNN interview, which, 15 months in, you think the FBI would have something more than a suggestion in a CNN interview. You made a big deal and did a great job on Russia collusion, showing us how flawed that opening of the case was. Is this another case that didn't have the proper predication?
Sure looks that way. I mean, it sure does. And it looks like this was just the same old weaponization, same old political focus on politics, going after your political enemies, same mindset that said we're going to put the dossier in the intelligence community assessment, even though we know the dossier is garbage. We know there's no underlying intelligence to support it. That same mindset was there in 2016 is the mindset we see now in 2022 with Arctic Frost, and then as it transformed into Jack Smith special counsel and later in 2022, same exact mindset. So, yeah, that's what it sure looks like.
You not only investigate, you create solutions. You spend a lot of time, I know, talking to your colleagues, trying to find the solutions that will solve some of the things that have been abused now repeatedly over the last decade. It seems to me the gathering of phone records and geolocation data using phones and other tools have been widely misused. Basically, they're used as phishing tools, not as targeted intrusions on our privacy warranted by a criminal probe. Are you ready to come forward with some reforms in the next year to try to rein in this government? Because it clearly doesn't want to rein in itself.
Yeah, we're definitely always looking at that to protect Americans' liberties. It's the main responsibility of the Judiciary Committee. We're supposed to protect your bill, the rights you have under the Bill of Rights, the rights you have under the First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Second Amendment, all those key liberties we have in this greatest country ever. So, yeah, that's supposed to be our focus. One of the things that's coming up is the reauthorization of FISA. And we know the FISA process was abused in numerous ways over the years in this weaponization and this politics effort we saw from the Garland and Obama Justice Departments. So we're looking at that. We think actually if you're going to go search the 702 database as an example, you got to go to a separate and equal branch of government and get a probable cause warrant. You can't just go looking through there. And the same kind of mind thinking that may apply to how this investigation unfolded, where they were just throwing subpoenas out there for anybody and everybody to get their bank records and communications and everything else. I still fail to see why you needed, and I use Dan Scavino because Dan's a good man who's done great work, why you need his bank records. What is going on? What was the probable cause that said somehow Dan Scavino's engaged in criminal activity and we need to see his bank records? That makes no sense.